right. Hello and welcome to another episode of Messi and Co. I'm Ashley here as always with my incredible co-host Gian. And man, I'll start it's kind of giving signs because we're normally like happy Monday. It's a nice day, didn't remind me result, but it's I don't know about by you, but by me it's been raining all day, dark, bad weather, and kind of reflects what we saw Saturday night. But before we get into all of that, of course, how you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. It's not raining over here. Is it raining like
No?
in your heart, in your
In
soul?
my
Is that where
heart,
it's raining? Because
outside, it's
it is
dark.
sunshine over here.
Really? Wow, well,
Yeah,
here you
it's
go.
sunshine. It has not rained, not even once. And it's really nice. But I'm doing good. It's a Monday. I actually love Mondays. I never used to like Mondays. I love Mondays now. And it's a good Monday. Personally, I was footballistically. Did I make that word up? I don't even know if I made that word up.
Works for me.
Footballistically, let's just go with that word. It's been a tough weekend. I think we can all agree. It's been very tough, and the discourse is crazy online. It's not only I'm not only talking about fans on X, on Instagram. I'm talking about even like on ESPN, on MLS, like big names and
Yeah, this
big
is a
networks are talking
big
about
game.
what happened this weekend, and
Yeah.
not just from the football perspective, but there's a lot going on around this team. Unfortunately, a lot of stuff that you don't really want. So I'm excited to get into it. Honestly, there's a lot to talk about. I feel like this is going to be a great episode.
Yeah, agreed. It is to your point a game where there has been a huge reaction and a lot of discourse surrounding it. But if you asked us going into it what we thought it was going to be, and even if what happened after the first 35 minutes of the game, I would have been like, "This is what we want. This team's great. We're on a great path. We just got those two great away wins, etc." Um, but before we even get there, yeah, I mean, we'll say, good evening, what's up to our friends. Aloha, mahalo. Do we have a lot of people who watch from Hawaii? Because I do. I'm jealous. I wish I was in Hawaii. But yeah, it was a really tough game. We can just kind of rip off the band-aid. Actually, before that, I know you said it was a bad weekend of soccer. Not true for me because my Tottenham Hotspur won yesterday in against Aston Villa and may have hopefully saved us from relegation. West Ham lost. Just saying. That part did bring me joy even after such a heartbreaking loss Saturday. So not to make everything about me, but I just wanted to include that.
Well, at least you're Tottenham won. My Chelsea sucks. It's absolute garbage. Like
Oof.
they lost against Nottingham Forest with a rotated squad. Nottingham Forest getting ready for the UEFA Europa League semifinal, and they played with their bench, and we were losing. Chelsea was losing. I think it was like 2-0 at one point. Even I don't remember what like it was just awful,
Just
awful.
no.
Honestly, awful. So, but at least your
Yeah.
Tottenham is trying to get out of relegation. But yeah,
Fingers crossed. But unfortunately, we can't avoid the topic for too much longer. So, purple rain, pink pain, I think is a good way to say it because we Inter Miami had a historic night, but not in a good way. One of the one of the few teams in MLS history to be beaten after having a 3-0 win against their in-state rivals home in their brand new stadium, gave up 4 unanswered goals, uh, including a penalty, and led to a 4-3 defeat, making it another winless game at New Stadium. The cursed stadium is what I'm calling it until we get a win there. Uh, I was there and the first half the energy was great. I have to say La Familia, the fans from minute 1 to minute 90, um, the energy was great. I will say, for the whole second half, we were sitting in darkness, didn't turn the lights back on, which was interesting. I did have fun with my friend though. The stadium's beautiful, the energy is great, but the product and the overall energy from the players uh, was really, really disappointing to see in the second half. There's a lot to
wait,
get into, but yeah,
what do
overall
you
it
what
was
do you mean the light was off? Like,
yeah.
what is that about?
Well, so I know we had a couple of people who also were at the game, and honestly, maybe I don't I'm so used to sitting in the press box, first of all, and that's not like a brag or anything. It's been really a while since I've sat in normal seats. Um, the game, once it became dark outside, like, once it was dark, they turn on, like, the field lights, and then they turn on the, like, concourse lights. So, like, there's, like, a little it's not like a roof, but there's, like, an overhang over the inside of the stadium, right? Like, and
Yeah,
well, those lights were on in the first half. And then there was a light show at halftime, where they did this whole laser thing, and then and they turned off all the lights, but then for the second half, they only turned the field lights back on. So, like, we were sitting in the dark for the whole second half of the game. And maybe that
that's
sounds
pretty strange.
I don't know, I don't think it is, but it was dark and it felt dark, the energy was dark, everything was dark, it felt like a nightmare happening and yeah, so that was
I mean, they pretty much set the mood for the second half, is what you're telling me,
yeah, yeah.
with the
That
darkness and
should have been a
the
like, a clue, and I mean, it was great because it was really such a tale of 2 halves, even though in the end, I think we're gonna say it wasn't, that this has been the big picture of Inter Miami that we've seen for a while, and, there's glaring holes that, have to be addressed in more ways than one, but, in the first half, we saw that Messi goal, like, when you and we were sitting on, like, near the supporter section at the corner, so we're, like, we're facing the back of them, and so, like, we see the shot, him shooting it from outside the box and watching it go into the corner, and you're just like, amazing, and then Ian Frey getting the goal, and there were so many positives, and then there wasn't. But so, yeah, that was kind of I think, honestly, if I was watching at home, I think would be more upset, and I think you're gonna address probably a little bit more of the harshness of what's deserved, 'cause, if I was watching at home, I'd be like, "What the hell is happening?" At the game, I feel like it doesn't feel as bad in the moment because there's so much to look at and see, right? I don't know if that makes sense. Um, but yeah, it got away from us and it was, really, really disappointing from everyone.
Well, look, it was just as disappointing on TV as it was in person for you. I'll say that it was awful. Look, I said it, my prediction. I said Inter Miami was going to score 3 to 5 goals. When we were up 3-0, I was excited. I was like, all right, my prediction is going to come true. We're going to hit the 5 goals. I mean, we were on the way we were
Yeah.
attacking was incredible. Like we were
Yeah,
on par to score 6, maybe 7 goals that game. That's how
and
it
that could
felt
have what led to fatigue too.
until the 39th minute. I mean, it was just nonstop attacking for this team. And you
Yeah.
gotta like, at least from that perspective, right? This team kind of felt boring from the attacking perspective when Macherano was here. It just felt like they were doing nothing. And then to see this team go up 3-0 early on their rival, it's like there was a sense of hope there. And it was like, wow, this team is really looking good from the attacking perspective. What you expected to see when you had Berterame, now Suarez back in, Messi there, obviously Tadeo Allende starting on the bench. It was something that you kind of expected and hoped to finally see. So I was glad to see that. Early on, 4 minutes in, Ian Frey got a really nice goal, header that he scored off of I believe it was a Telasco Segovia
Yep.
uh, center, and that's something that you've seen a lot from Ian Frey. You've seen a lot of that. You talk about his defense and him playing good on that right side, but just also his ability to help a lot on that offensive end, a lot more than what we've seen from Mura. So to see Ian Frey finally start over Facundo Mura, I think was a good sign, and it was something that I liked very well. Then the minute 25, Segovia goes ahead and he scores off of I believe it was a Messi pass. Messi gets the ball on the
Tapping,
left
yeah.
hand side and puts it right there, and just tells Segovia, make yourself famous, score that one, tap it in. So that makes us go up 2-0 into Miami, rocking and rolling. I'm not sure if it was before the Segovia goal or after the Segovia goal, but there was a sequence, and it was just incredible where there was. I mean, the Paul had this newfound shot from outside the area that he
Oh
scored
my
once.
god,
Now
yeah, it was
he's
first
like,
it was a free kick, right, at that Messi and it
no, no,
almost scored, and then right after DePaul got
yes,
the
no,
rebound and almost
incredible.
was a golazo, yeah, great save
I mean, he
there by
scored that
Leo,
one,
yeah.
what, last game or the one
Yeah,
before?
yeah,
He scored
a
from
week
outside,
ago.
and I think that opened up his confidence to say I can shoot from outside, and he's had a couple more from out there. But there was that, and there was a sequence where I think it was off of maybe that rebound, off of that play where Crepao looked like prime Oliver Kahn or Gigi Buffon, and he saved like 2 or 3 back to back.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, the game could have easily been, if it wasn't for that insane
Yeah.
performance by their goalkeeper, they could have, we could have been up 5-6-0 at that point. He really changed the game, I think, at that point in time and gave Orlando hope. But still, we were up 2-0, minute 25. Then Messi gets the ball right outside the center of the area, takes a step to his left, and curls a beautiful goal at minute 33. Inter Miami rocking and rolling, looking amazing, just absolutely dominating Orlando City. And then, unfortunately, minute 39, Martin Ojea, who, I mean, just had a superb game. Just an incredible player for Orlando, really changed. I mean, and I think that's why they brought him in, and you can see
Yeah.
his skill there. He scores, and it's 3-1 going in at the half. And it's quite a different game, I think, for Orlando going into that half and saying, okay, 3-1, we're still in this, despite that really bad half. You're not going in 3-0. It gave them a lot of life. Inter Miami, on the other end, goes in there winning 3-1, and they feel like they have it in the bag. They feel like they're going to win this game. And I think what is interesting for me, before we get into the second half, Ash, you remember what Mascherano used to do as far as controlling games, as far as reading and reading the game, reading the opponent, and making sure he takes care of the result. And at that point, he's 3-1. And Mascherano, you would make tactical changes, right? He'd bring in maybe a bit more of a take out an attacker, put in another defender, put in another midfielder to make sure that you keep that 3-1 lead. Whereas we go into that second half, and Hoyos didn't do that. Hoyos was like, we're going to go in and try to score another 3 or 4 despite us winning 3-1, which we'll talk about, and that led into problems. But
And the
before we get
fatigue,
into
not
that, how
even
do you feel
factoring
about
in
that?
the fact that it was 100 degrees out. It was the hottest day of the calendar year in Miami, and with all the explosiveness of that first half, the players looked a little tired, like, and knowing we had a couple players, unavailable, such as a David Ayala, such as a Matteo Silvetti, who would come in normally or who would be part of that team that, would bring in that energy, um missing that, I think, hurt because it didn't feel like you could make as many subs when you need to, but it was so they were so tired, and so, yeah, I mean, this is a great comment, like, he's earned the title interim manager. I think Guillermo Hoyos super, like, super mismanaged the second half of that game, and I've been really complimentary of him, um but it was a game like that where you kind of see, "Oh, okay, this is why he has not had or kept, these big time jobs," and it's not, like, to be mean or anything like that, it's just that, there were options, like, me and my friend who I was with, we kept saying over and over I probably said this 20 times, Gian, from minute, like, 55 to minute 85. I'm like, "You need to take out either Segovia or Yannick Bright or someone else who had a yellow card and who was starting to lose energy, because 'cause you're not taking out Messi, you're not taking out DePaul, if you there's certain people you're not taking out." Honestly, I thought you Luis Suarez is someone you needed in those last 20 minutes because there just felt like there was no danger, and so Yannick Wright, someone we love, he just wasn't having a good game. The attitude, the temperament, there's been an issue there. I don't know what it is. I hope it's short-lived. Segovia, yeah, he got the early goal, but there's a finite point. Like, I would have done Allende for Segovia. I would have probably brought in, Davo Ruiz, something like that. It just, even for Berterame, like, that for me, it just felt like the energy was declining at such a rapid rate, and, like, even someone who doesn't know soccer, who doesn't know the ins and outs or, like, the tactical, etcetera, you can watch and you're like, "Okay, you're not gonna take out Messi." DePaul even was getting so tired, like, the guy has runs 50 miles a game, like, it is what it is, but he's not coming out, like, you just brought in Allende. Well, you gotta make some changes because the defense keeps going and everyone keeps going slower and slower while Orlando is getting more and more energy and excitement and intensity. So it's like you're watching a runaway train, right? Like, and you're screaming, "Stop, stop, stop," and nothing is happening. It feels like one of those situations, and so it was just I think it was really this is a strong way of saying it. It was a soul crushing, hope shattering loss. That's maybe I hope it not all of those things, but it felt like a loss that was for the first half at least, like it was undeserved, and there were ways to mitigate this. Some things that there was compared to the last few games where we've had, those injuries and suspensions, we had a little bit of that back. We had enough. And we just didn't use it correctly. And to me, that's what I think was really disappointing.
Yeah, look, I think you saw tired legs, but at the same time, I don't think it's an excuse, really. Orlando City had a midweek game, and they even asked Ian Frey, and we'll get into that a little bit later. But even Ian Frey said that that wasn't an excuse. Like, um, there's no reason. I mean, Inter Miami, they're playing at home. They're used to the heat. They're used to the humidity. Orlando City looking fresher than them is not something that's acceptable. I will note that you were mentioning that some of these some of these substitutions maybe weren't made when they should have been made. You talk about Orlando keeping their players fresh. They brought in two substitutions, minute 46, Tyrese Spicer and Eduardo Atuesta, which both went in there and absolutely impacted the game.
Yeah.
Atuesta had an assist. Spicer had a goal. I mean, talk about efficient substitution. So right at minute 46, he already
Why
had
wasn't Gonzalo
fresher
Lujan brought
legs.
in? When you saw that there
Um,
was such a defensive struggle and he had been playing well, like there's just certain things that
yeah,
just didn't click.
yeah. So Orlando again brings in two players that complete two players that helped in that game tremendously, and even brought in Duncan McGuire in minute 59. So you're talking about three substitutions before Inter Miami had their first. Their
Yeah.
first substitution comes in at minute 66 with Facundo Mura, and then Tadeo Allende at minute 71. So I gotta agree that Hoyos, the mismanagement just was was not good on his end. It was really poor. But they come out of that second half, and Martin Ojeda off of off of a Eduardo Atuesta assist, scores the second for Orlando City, makes it 3-2 at minute 68. Then at minute 78, a penalty, which I think for me, and it's not an excuse, this is not why Inter Miami lost, but I think it's important to talk about that penalty seemed like a really soft penalty.
It was soft,
Uh,
yeah.
it was, I mean,
And if
Falcon
it was
makes
the other
minimal
way, we would have
contact.
been like, great penalty. So it's one of those where I agree with you. It
Yeah,
was
yeah.
soft.
You're not gonna. That's not why you lost this game. But
Mhm.
anyways, Martin Ojeda gets his hat trick, minute 78 with a penalty, and then minute 3 in stoppage time, Tyrese Spicer again, who was a substitution, goes ahead and scores the go-ahead goal for the 4-3 win. So it was just bad, honestly, just bad. And we talk about the mismanagement, right? Like you're up. Why are you continuing to attack as if you were the team that was down and needed to win, and opening up your team to so much risk?
I was
And we
gonna say
saw that
opening
was
it
with
up
Inter
to get
Miami.
tired. Yeah,
I
like it's
mean, it was just risky. It was risky because he had all their players playing full on attack up front, and then a lot of times Inter Miami was getting caught off balance with their defense, maybe basically no midfielders helping, right? You had the defense having to play one on one against their attackers. We've seen how how Maxi Falcon. I mean, he hasn't had the best performances as of late, and
yeah.
he continues to struggle against these fast attackers. Same thing. Mikael has played good, but he also struggles against those fast attackers. And at the end of the day, that's not the situation you want to see these defenders have
Yeah.
to have to go up against. I want to read some of these comments. It says
Go
you
ahead, because
can't
I'm
high
looking at
line with
the I'm
Falcon.
looking at the bench as well because I wanted to see. I had a couple
He's
of
too
thoughts
slow,
on the
both
bench.
reacting and running. Yeah, it's true. And again, it just goes to talk about that second half, and you see how they didn't change anything. They just kept playing really high up and getting caught in really bad situations.
Yeah, I
Vibes,
think
what up?
we'll head up. Yeah, let's start with the back and work our way forward. I think is kind of a good way to do this. And so I was looking at our bench now, and there's a few things um that make some decisions understandable. Like for example, rather, I see David Ruiz wasn't available. Maybe I don't know if it was injury or if it was suspension or something that he wasn't available, and Ayala wasn't available. So with the midfield, like that meant that you're having Yannick Bright and Rodrigo de Paul play the whole game, and you're trying to play Segovia for as long as possible. So that's something that I would say is also like that's not really in Hoyos' control or problem in the sense, right? As it relates to that specific problem. But from a defensive standpoint, you did have on the bench both Mura and Lujan. And I think it's really hard to say this because he actually has been remarkable for us all last year and for a lot of this year is Maxi Falcon. If you ask me, like based on his whole body of work for Inter Miami so far, if it's been a plus or minus, it's an A plus 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 compared to the defense we had before. Maxi Falcone has been incredible. However, with that being said, I think in this past little patch of games, he hasn't been at his best, and I think it's tired legs, it's tired minds. There's a lot of it. But you have someone like Gonzalo Lujan who has played much better this season in the time he's gotten. Mikael, who I think has been rock solid for the most part, but also is adjusting. And with that being said, there's that's an opportunity where you need to bring on on not Mura for Ian Frey. You bring on Lujan to make it a back five, or for someone like a Falcon or someone who's tired. Like, you know what I mean? It just felt like that was the poor personnel, and so um same for Noah Allen. Noah Allen was having a good game, but in the end, it did feel like there was something missing. So, I mean, Ian Frey injury aside, I would rather see then maybe a back three where you have either Mura or Miguel as your left, like on the left, and you have Lujan and uh Maxi and Mikael. If you have those three playing together, you feel better about these kind of over the top chances and these counters and all that stuff. And so for me, that part was missing. Mura has been a huge disappointment, no doubt, no doubt. But when Ian Frey got hurt, like you had to bring him in. It's just the way you used him that I think is what leaves some stuff to the imagination, and bringing him over and not bringing in Lujan as well. To me, just a big red flag.
Yeah, just poor decisions. Let's talk a little bit about the defense. I want to talk about a few of the mistakes here and things we noticed on defense. Look, this first play that we see right
And we'll talk
here.
about Dane St. Clair too, by the way. We'll get there.
Yeah, that's important. Obviously, we were up 3-0 minutes until the 38th minute. Before that 39th minute goal from Martin Ojeda. You can see in this play, what do you notice here? The first thing you notice is Inter Miami continues to
Play a
just
highlight.
leave space between their lines. You see the midfielders here. You see Yannick Bright. You see De Paul. You see, I believe on that left side, Noah Allen trying to run back. You have maybe it's Delasco there. And then you have basically the two center backs having to face the opponent's attack one-on-one. I mean, if you watch the game and pay attention to that, you can see how often this happens. So we see this pass to Martin Ojeda. Martin Ojeda gets the ball. What you see here is what I thought was just a bad read on Mikael, because you have Noah Allen there on that left side, right? Noah Allen basically has that left side covered. But then you have Mikael, instead of staying on his position on the right side to make sure that in case Martin Ojeda cuts in, that he also has that right side, he actually goes and gets on that same left side that Noah Allen is already covering. It opens up the space completely for Martin Ojeda to cut back in and find the space to shoot, and then Maxi Falcon comes in too late, and it's a goal. That to me was just a poor defensive play by Mikael.
No, and that's not trusting your left back, which is a problem, right? Like that means you or your goalkeeper thinking your goalkeeper is going to be in the right position. Like then
and I
that
wonder how
becomes
much of it is
too.
actually not trusting or just reading. I feel like it was more, and that's because it's a possibility, Ash, but I feel like this is more just a bad read. Like
Bad read, yeah.
Why are
Could be
you
no,
why are
for
you
sure,
both
for sure,
why are
for
you both
sure.
going to the same side and you completely leave that space open for a talented player like Martin that can shoot from outside? I mean,
Keep
that's
marking the same guy, yeah, it's a huge problem.
it was just poor defense right there. This is
Look
look
at that, there's
so
7 people back, and this is a goal. Like, let's think about that for a second,
so
right?
so
Like,
what I want to point out here is this is we've talked about Yannick Bright and how good he's played for us, right? How he's been a force in that midfield, has how he's been able to close the passing channels. I even myself, and I'm not going to say he's at his level by any means, but I've said he's our Moises Caicedo from Chelsea that it breaks everything in the middle. But how, like, if you watch how poor this play ends up being, you have right here in the middle Yannick Bright on that left side with the Lasco's all the way on the left. You have in the middle Yannick Bright. You have on the right, um, uh, what's it called, De Paul, and you have the Orlando player coming up with the ball in the middle, right? There, they both close on him. De Paul and Yannick Bright both close on him.
yeah.
What would you expect to be the
Look at
next
that,
frame on this
Zengo
play?
runs between them with no problem, yep.
I know that. What would you expect?
Someone to
Two,
block it.
the ball and Yannick Bright. There's no way that this ball gets past him. There's no way. Whoop, gets right past him. Like, I mean, the effort on that play was absolutely awful. I don't know what was going on in their minds. I don't know if maybe they both thought the other one was going to be the one to, get stick their foot in there and challenge. I don't know, but that was absolutely awful. So then that's what I'm talking about. This is the common theme for Inter Miami's defense. You have
Yeah.
the 3 midfielders, right? And then you
Mhm.
have, what is that, a 5-on-4? Are we actually seeing a 5-on-4 right now? I mean,
Yeah.
you can talk about the bad defense, but at the same time, like, what is the bigger problem here? It's the midfield too. How are you having your defenders facing 5 guys here? So, boom, the pass goes to Martin Ojeda. Look at the center backs and the right back, all clumped by themselves. But you end up having Noah Allen to face Martin
Yeah,
Ojeda.
all that space.
And that's not even his player. His
Yeah.
player's on the right side making a run in. He's got to leave his player to try to come into and get Martin Ojeda. And Ojeda gets a shot in and he scores. I mean,
Yeah.
that's a huge defensive breakdown right there.
Yeah.
This one wasn't the goal, but I wanted to highlight it because again, it's just like it's an ongoing theme here. We have the ball here right at the midfield, and this is a pass that ended up coming from, I think that's Berterame, that right in the middle. He passes back to De Paul. De Paul clashes,
Mhm.
and instead of letting, what he should have done is he tried to force that pass back. That's Berterame, right? If I'm not mistaken, or who is that? I can't see. Or is that
On the
Suarez?
left?
Right on the other side of the Paul, on the other side
Yeah,
of the
that's
Orlando player.
Bertarame, yeah.
Yeah. So Berterame puts in, it wasn't the best pass, but what the ball does is, even though the defender or the midfielder is closing in, he still tries to force that pass back into Berterame instead of letting the ball past him and playing down the other side of the field. So he tries to force that pass in. It gets deflected. Now Orlando is on a counterattack. So what happens here? Again, what do we see? The ongoing theme. Falcon having to face on that left side, having to face another attacker, and on that right side, you have Mikael one on one. How often are we seeing these one on ones against our center backs? It's awful, awful. There you go, one on one Falcon. You really want Falcon having to face
Yeah.
one on one against Ojeda? No way, no way. And then he gets obviously destroyed. Ojeda cuts in, leaves Falcon on the ground, and then Falcon gets a one-on-one shot against Dane St. Clair. Dane St. Clair uses his face to block this one. It was a good,
Yeah.
I think, use of
Huge
his
block.
body to be able to come
Yeah.
out and a great block. If not, you're talking about 4-3 a minute 80.
Yeah.
And at that point, it gets even worse. And then this is the third goal was a penalty, but this is the fourth goal. I thought this was awful.
Yeah.
Again, by Falcon, right? You have Ojeda here on that left, right by Falcon. You have Spicer on that right side next to Mura. You have De Paul right in the middle of the field. And
Yep.
we see a pass from Orlando. The pass goes right where Falcon is.
on the other side,
Okay, that
yep.
screens. He
Yep.
dummies. Doesn't even go for the ball. I don't know what Maxi Falcon is even doing. Maxi Falcon lets the ball go right past him. And now what do you have? You have a fast Spicer
Yeah.
going in for the ball. And then he's basically by himself.
Yeah.
And he scores. I mean,
Yeah,
poor.
100%.
Just
I
poor.
think it's those were really good examples of it. I think overall it seems like it seems inherently harsh to just say, like the game is because of Maxi Falcon having a bad game and a miss here and there. That's not the beginning and end of it because we mentioned a lot of other players who didn't play their part. And also from a coaching standpoint, how you start one game and then how you're finishing another is okay, well, you're seeing the fatigue, you're seeing that Orlando has figured out or what they're exploiting and exposing, and then that's the space in between the two center backs over the top, because you're either having a Noah Allen or a Mura be out of position, and DePaul having a game where he's just not running very hard, and that's just the truth. It is, he is motor, he is el motor, he the engine, right? Like I'm constantly amazed by how much he can run in each game and do and pass, and so he wasn't doing it this time. All those things in mind as Guillermo Hoyos in these moments, this is where maybe it wasn't what you were originally sought out to do, and you don't want to make it seem like a concession, but you need to bring in a Lujan. You need to bring in, you need to bring in fresh legs. You need to bring in Allende, which he did. And you need to take out the players who aren't putting in 100% effort or who aren't in the right spaces due to either fatigue or what mismanagement or coaching, whatever it is. Segovia, for example, he was useless the last 30 minutes. Useless. Like, I'm sorry, he was. And so, I thought Yannick Bright wasn't having a great game either, but if you ask me who do I trust more, I trust Bright. So then, okay, you take out a, I think in that situation, you take out a Segovia and you put in Lujan, for example, and you move to a back five, right? Like, there's a lot of different things you can do to keep what you need, and get what you need out of it. I think I saw a couple comments on the beginning about this, which I think is true. It's about, sorry, let me find it. Yeah, like, um but I don't worry about certain things in the sense that, like, Bertarame is learning and is playing well with Leo. He missed a chance that the second half that was stupid to miss, but it's now what, 4 goals in 5 games for Bertarame. I think, him and Messi got a goal assist, probably could have had so many more goals. I was watching in the second half, some of the times he was the one running back and being the last man on the left side. Why the hell are you having Lionel Messi do that? That is crazy. The fact that he has to do that is unbelievable. But yeah, so like for me, it feels like the defense and goalkeeping and midfield is where we're seeing just like it's just not connecting, and that's what needs to connect, right?
Yeah, it's look, you can coach this team however you want. I know we've talked about earlier on in this episode about how Hoyos completely mismanaged this game. He had it perfectly through 38 minutes. In 45 minutes, he was at 3-1. I mean, it was a good, well managed game. But that started that second half. Orlando's coach outclassed Hoyos.
The
Two
pacing, the planning, all
substitutions
of
at
it.
minute 46. One of his substitutions has an assist. His other substitution scores a game-winning goal. Um, Hoyos reacts too late. Hoyos continues to try to be ultra attacking instead of conserving. I'm not saying a goal full park the bus, but ultimately playing a bit more conservative, 10%. You would have played 10% more conservative, I think you win this game. So from that perspective, we can say Hoyos was outclassed by Orlando's coaching. But on the other side, there has to be equal blame, right? Some of the things we saw right now, where we look through some of these defensive plays, like Hoyos isn't on the field. Hoyos
Right.
can't make the tackles. Hoyos can't read, some of these matchups. Like, dude, Maxi Falcon has to be better if he's going to play. If not, Lujan can go in there. I have no problem right now,
Or
the
maybe
way
he
Maxi
literally
Falcon is
just needs a
playing.
break because how many minutes has Maxi Falcon played for this team over the last year and a half? Like, then he needs a break. He needs to be rotated.
I mean, at this point,
It's not an excuse for him. I
we're
mean,
gonna
it's not
hold
saying like that's okay for him, but as a coach, he's like, he has a lot of like logged a lot of minutes and a lot of running, like,
But it's
and
not
with
the
his
thing is
switch.
it's not just this game, Ash. It's not just this game.
Yeah,
Maxi Falcon, it's multiple games now. It's multiple
yeah.
games. Do I agree with you? Should there be more rotation? Yeah, there should be more rotation.
Especially
100%
when you
agree
see
with you.
Lujan playing as
But
well as he is.
exactly. But Maxi Falcon, just it's not the first game.
Yeah,
He's on a downward spiral where he's not playing
he's
good.
on a down play. Yeah, I
So
agree.
he needs to play better. Mura, it's he's not at the point where he needs to be seen getting any minutes right now, unfortunately. De Paul, who you paid a lot of money for, is not living up to his contract at this point in time. Yannick Bright has regressed a bit, so you've got to put the onus on some of these players, and they themselves have to get better. Hoyos
Yeah.
can have the best strategy on there, but if these players don't elevate their game and play to their fullest potential, which they have, then I mean,
And there's
this
a
team
lack
is
of
not going
belief,
to
I
win.
think, between players with each other that they're not trusting of what the player is going to do, and so then no one does anything. You know what I mean? Like I've seen that a
Yeah,
few times.
I still think there's players, and now stepping a little bit away from the defense, there are players that are trying to figure this out, and I think they're in different situations than they were last season. You talk about Berterame, especially now with Suarez in there. One thing was with Allende that plays more wide and then goes in central. But think about it from Berterame's perspective right now. How tough it must be to try to get out of the way of Suarez and Messi, who both take up that central area. When
Yeah.
he in Mexico, that was his spot. That's where he got the bulk of his goals, was right in that middle, in that center channel. And now he's trying to figure out where am I supposed to be? I'm trying not to clash with Suarez. I saw multiple times in this game where Suarez and Berterame are almost making the same run, and Berterame is like, "Oh damn!" And it tries to. You can see him physically back off to try to
Yeah.
open space and move there. So that I think that's been a bit tough for Berterame. But these players need to get better. That goddamn, we need Dario Allende back, man. We need the
The
playoff
good version
Allende
of him,
back.
because he was also, only had a couple bright spots in that second half too, where I was like, I actually was thinking a lot. I was like, what I really want right now is Matteo Silvetti, because maybe he doesn't have the same like finishing or technique or what, not guaranteeing he's going to score all these goals, but he's going to bring it an energy and a threat. And it feels like outside of Messi, you're not getting those two things from somebody. But and so when you're not getting that, like this was a game where I think he looked tired and that's why he was changed. But I would have rather Luis Suarez stay in because we needed to be scaring Orlando, and Orlando weren't scared of us. And you need to have those players where you would like a DePaul to have shown more of his personality in this game. Like you need the players to like be like, this is my turf, like I'm gonna do and go for something crazy. Suarez brings that, Berterame does not. Messi brings that in his special way. For example, Segovia does not. It's Allende does not. Those players, and so it's picking and choosing. Really quick, what I wanted to do before, because I want to talk about another subject that I think is important, which is kind of the post game and what we're seeing outside of the play, right? Like off the field, not just on the field. But one thing I want us to talk about just a little bit, because again, it's one of those things we're going to talk about it, but there genuinely is not going to be any changes compared to everywhere else we're talking about where there can and will be changes, is with our goalkeeping and Dane Sinclair. Dane Sinclair, unless something crazy happens injury wise or something, he's the number one goalkeeper for Inter Miami for this season. Like that's what it is. He's gonna be the number one goalkeeper for Canada, I think, which is pretty remarkable. Has he made mistakes? Yeah, and the way they're using him, not good. Is he starting to, in my opinion, get a bigger and bigger catalog of good saves? Yes, like that save in the 80 minutes, that's a huge goalkeeping save. That's good goalkeeping. Um, do I love him? Do I think he's the best and exactly what I expected from last year? No. A lot of his game has disappointed me. Um, but of all the problems I have and the things with Inter Miami, you just have to kind of, I think, be logical about it. And he was brought in for X amount of money, similar to Berterame, where like you paid to have the number one player in that position last year join Inter Miami to strengthen it. It's going to take a while before you change that. And so I guess for me, it's just like we can talk about Dane Sinclair until, our face turns blue. A lot of it are these one-on-ones that are happening where his defense is not helping him and not communicating with him, and some of it is, is his fault, but at the end, I don't know. Do you know what I mean? Like, what are we gonna see happen that's gonna change drastically in this recent time? I don't think much from him.
I mean, I wasn't somebody that from the beginning thought that he should be here in Inter Miami. So I'm not going to say I told you so, but you guys can go back and look at the episodes. I even questioned it. I said, why the hell is, I mean, I understand why he is there because of he got voted best goalkeeper, but you had Rocco that you won a championship with. I never understood the reasoning behind
Yeah.
that. But at the end of the day, I agree with you. He's a starting goalkeeper. Like that's not going to change for now,
For
but
now.
he's got to get better. He's got to get better. In
Agreed. I
part,
think that's true.
in part, you're very accurate with what you said. Like the defense is, I mean,
Letting
some of
him
these
down, yeah.
shots that they're like right in front of him. Like they're with easy shots that it's like I think you put any goalkeeper and they're going to be getting scored on constantly. But we have seen some goals that you're like, damn, dude, I thought this guy was supposed to be the best
Agreed.
goalkeeper. So I think it's two sides to that story. I think he's culpable for a lot of the goals, and at the same time, some of them are because of the fact that he's getting so many shots on him. Look,
High
he over the
percentage
last
shots too, you know what I mean?
19
Like, it's
goals over we let in 19 goals over our last 11 games.
yeah.
That's astounding. Like
Yeah,
that
yeah.
is astounding. So
No, it's been a overall, there's been a disappointment. Look, I'm not someone who's like, I'm not gonna live and die on the Dane Sinclair's, is the right choice hill. I'm not going to.
well, that's
Um,
not what we're losing. I mean, it's not like
right,
if
he's not
we,
the reason I'm not gonna die if they were to start Rocco tomorrow, great. I'd be very happy for him. It was a
if I
decision
was
we weren't
coach,
sure
Rocco's
about.
in. Rocco
Right.
would. I mean, Rocco would have never lost his position if I was coach.
Right, and that could be true, right, 100%. Dane Sinclair is not your main problem. It's disappointing and it's, whatever, but if he's changed tomorrow, great. If he's not changed tomorrow, then let's fix other things. That's kind of where I'm at, you know what I mean? Like, it's not like last year, Ustari played himself out of the position where it got to a point where it was more cons than pros, right? For now, for Dane Sinclair, I don't see it as like, "Oh, he is so much worse than he is better." I'm like, no, it's a bad mixture of he's had a bit of a down start and disappointing in some saves, but he's getting failed by his defense and his defensive midfielders. They're failing him. And so it's not that he did so many things wrong, but he's also not doing enough things right. So anyway, it's just like I guess my feeling is whoever starts tomorrow is fine with me. If they make a change, great. If you're asking me, do I think changing the goalkeeper is gonna win or lose or gonna change the whole landscape of the team and the morale and the, schedule? No, I don't. I could be wrong, but that's not where I think it is. So I just wanted to just kind of give my piece on that, It's like there's a lot of other things and a really big thing, which something we don't normally talk about, but it's on the field, we're seeing some trouble this season, no doubt about it, but we had just gotten off of a really great road trip where we won 2 games looking great, tied the game after, and we don't really say it then because we don't really have to, especially when things are going good, but what we're seeing a miss of and something that was disappointing after this game was, number 1, we only got 1 question answered by Guillermo Hoyos, which as a professional head coach is absolutely unacceptable. As an interim manager as well, absolutely unacceptable. The fact that the Inter Miami media team and press team has it's I think been not very great either, in a lot of ways. But so that is a terrible example to set. Number 2, look, Messi has made it clear he doesn't do interviews. That's part of what he came to MLS. He's not doing the interviews. He that's the choice I'll accept. With what we get out of Lionel Messi and the value he brings, right? Okay, I'll accept it. However, what about a player like Rodrigo de Paul or a player, like that has been someone that Luis Suarez, players like that. Um, Yannick Bright even, who has been a player who's become like a leader in this team. Maxi Falcone, a player who's a leader in this team. All of those things. Who do you send out? You send out Ian Frey and Noah Allen, who, yeah, they're seasoned at Inter Miami, but they're kids. And in a game like that, and in a moment like that, you need to see from the top down a way higher caliber of professionalism and teamwork, right? Those aren't play. They're not being a team and helping each other out. And so that's what's really, I think, what hurts with this loss the most, and something that is being now talked about in a really mainstream way. You alluded to it earlier.
Yeah, look, there's a lot of facets to this whole discussion here and I want to get into a few of them. One, I want to get into the Messi thing right away. And it's been the topic of discussion on socials, on online, on the forums, all that stuff. We're talking about how Messi doesn't do interviews, that Messi should have been the one to show face, that Messi is they're breaking MLS rules by not having him available and others available and giving full access. Look, I just want to shut that down because, look, if you told me years ago, you can have the best player to ever play the sport come play for your team and be able to watch him, especially if you live here on a day-to-day basis, rocking your jersey, playing in your stadium, seeing him in person,
being the most valuable player in the league.
And bringing what he's brought to this city, to this team, with one caveat, he's not going to do any mixed zone. He's not going to do any post-game interviews for local media. I would have been like, yes, where do I sign? Like, at the end of the day, it's, do you wish he did? Okay, yeah, I wish he did. Would it be great to get some sound bites for you guys in chat, for the content, all that? Hell yeah, it would. But at the end of the day, I'm signing 10 times. Where do I sign if that's all it takes to bring them here? So for me, that's not a big issue.
Yeah.
The bigger issue for me is that these guys don't, at least they give off the impression that they're not accountable for what happens on the pitch, and they leave others with lesser, quote unquote, status, lesser experience, have to be the faces of defeat, right?
Yeah.
Especially in tough defeats like this one against Orlando. And I think that kind of rubs a lot of people the wrong way. Usually leaders are supposed to be the ones that show face, not only in the good times, but in the tough times, right? It's easy to do an interview when you're winning MLS Cup. It's easy to do an interview when you won Leagues Cup. It's easy to do an interview when you win Supporter Shield. But when you go and lose a game like this is a game of a lot of magnitude. I mean, it's it's your derby, it's your El Clásico, like. And for you to lose, and not only lose, but because the 4-3 is like, okay, whatever, 4-3, like it sucks, whatever. But in that fashion, being up 3 and absolutely squandering this, and then leaving it to 2 younger players, I think that's a big deal. And I think that that's a shame. And it's something that this team shouldn't be proud of. And I think that it also kind of shows me that maybe they aren't leaders. They're not the leaders that you thought they were. Why? Because Suarez, De Paul, they would, if they were leaders, and I wish Messi would do this, but I don't want to complain too much about them. But if they were actual leaders, they would step up and they would be like, "Oh, who's going to mix them? Noah, stay.
Even who's such a seasoned veteran.
Yes. So I think that it is shameful, and it's not the best way to go about it. And I do want to say one thing too. Look, we say kids, and I think the way that we mean it is not that, they're just children that shouldn't be held accountable. It's just that there are guys that should show more accountability than them. But Noah is still a seasoned guy. He's got the most games, most games for Inter Miami than any other player. He's had that captain's band on his arm at one time. So he's not just a nobody, a kid that that bears no responsibility. We just think that there are other players that bear more responsibility and are actually known leaders that should have shown face. I wanted to show a quick interview here. This one was actually by Andrea Yanes. She's a reporter, so I want to give her credit for this video and for her question. She actually asked Noah Allen about
Yeah.
it because he's had to do this on multiple times. It's not the
Multiple
first time.
times. Yeah, that's another
So
reason. Yeah.
yeah, so kudos to her. Great question and her video, and I just wanted to show really quick.
Good. Noah, is it hard, you always being the one that has to face us and being one of the youngest guys after a loss, first loss at home against Orlando City? Is it tough to be that face when there's other players who are older and with more rank?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, and yeah.
No, Ian told us about what happened after in the locker room, conversations that you guys had, captains of the team. What can you share about that, and how important is it to have those words right after the match?
Yeah, no, it was difficult. You have to have difficult conversations at the end of the day when you build a lead like this, in a rivalry game, the way we started. Yeah, you have to have those difficult talks. You have to sit there. You have to take in what everyone's saying because at the end of the day, it's devastating. Really, I mean, especially the way that we started. It's like I can't believe how I'm almost like broken. Like I never try to take the game too serious. At the end of the day, I want to win, but like I don't know. I feel like my girlfriend just broke up with me. If I'm honest with you, I'm not even trying to play. It's a horrible feeling. So it's we have to talk. We have to regroup. We have to get back out there on Monday and work extra. We have to do all the film in the world because we don't deserve to be in this position right now. I mean, we should be walking out of here happy the way that we started the game and honestly the way that we played too. I feel like we played really good. I don't know. I can't believe it. And I'm sorry to the fans as well because it sucks.
Yeah, I mean,
My,
look,
my, my boy's brokenhearted. My boy brokenhearted. He said it feels like his girlfriend
what a
broke up with
mature
him.
answer though, right? Like that's the
Yeah.
answer of and he's a kid. Noah Allen's a kid, by the way. And yeah, he is also captain, like you said, most caps on the team. No problem with him answering the question being there, but it's about the situation and it's the fact that okay, well then right next to him should be Rodrigo de Paul saying the same thing, or Luis Suarez, or Berterame, or someone else showing that unity. And look, I believe that after the game, Messi was a leader and did and talked to the team and stresses it. And by the way, the amount of runs he does too during the game, the recovery runs for his age and what he brings, like there's no question of if Messi's giving his best. I think he does his the way he's captain is the way he's always kind of been it, and that's how what works, and I don't ever second guess that aspect of it. It's the other players, right? In my opinion, it's the other leaders that we should be having, the seasoned veterans. I mean, part of not just quality wise, but look, losing Sergio Busquets and Jordi Alba, I think what we're seeing and maybe unexpectedly is there's a big mental difference in this team this year than last year. And you have to say, and also just kind of the overall, it feels like relationship with the fans, with the et cetera, that it just feels less it feels more manufactured this year, less passion, less intensity, intertwine, accountability, all of those things, and that's what you got from those players. And so, I think you know, it's true. And look, Messi, his first all 4 games at a new stadium. As soon as the games ended, he walked straight to the tunnel. Again, we're not gonna be giving a list of things wrong with Messi because it's very small compared to what's right. But it disappoints me to see 100%,
Yeah.
and it's a collective feeling that you need to see more out of these people who were brought to bring not only their amazing play, but their experience and their who they are as players, as athletes, which they've shown the world they can be as teammates.
I just want to give a lot of props to Noah Allen. I think Noah Allen has done a great job on the field, but also off the field. He's been an ambassador for this team. He's been a guy for the fans, for the people. I mean, you saw how he apologized, deeply
Yeah.
regretting what this team did on the field, and he's a guy that you can see here. Vice City, one of the groups from La Familia thanked him. It said, thank you for being the only player who walked over to acknowledge the people who chant 90 plus minutes. We don't ask for much, but we do expect some appreciation and a little gesture to the people who show you guys love day in, day out. Thank you for understanding what this culture is about. And I thought that this was an important thing, an important topic to bring up, because this is the type of guy, when you expect others on this team to be leaders, this guy is a leader on and off the field. He's a man of the fans, a player of the fans. He is what Inter Miami culture encompasses, and props to him. I got text messages from La Familia leaders telling me they wanted me to talk about this, if I please could talk about this subject for them on today's show. And it's something I was going to talk about anyways. It's not the first time I've done so. I've talked about it in the past about, look, there's some people that come and visit, and it's something, you know, going to an Inter Miami game is just like going and getting a slice of pizza, or going out to, you know, try their new favorite restaurant or whatever, or going to the beach. But to the people that sit behind the goal every weekend, that take time to go from their busy days to paint flags, to get the stadium ready. People don't understand how much it takes to get that stadium ready, to get in there hours and hours before, to stay hours after, to be chanting nonstop for hours for
in
this
the
team,
heat and the difficult
in the heat,
conditions,
and specifically in this game, to see your team go from being up 3-0 to being 4-3 down and still chanting. They didn't stop, still chanting. I mean, the least that this team could have done, was to go say thank you. Thank you for showing us love. Thank you for supporting us. Thank you for being here and encouraging us and doing everything you do. And the only one that did that was Noah Allen. The only one. That's just not how it should be. And I think honestly, it's shameful on this team. It doesn't matter how crappy the game was. Every single one of those, including Messi, including De Paul, including Suarez, after the pitch should have gone and said thank you. And as that post by Vice City says, that's all they ask for. They don't ask for anything else. They're not asking for results. They're not asking for wins. All they ask is for a sense of gratitude for what they do every weekend. So just honestly, kudos to Noah Allen. I really think he encompasses everything that this Inter Miami culture is about. So just pure class by him.
And shame on the other players who are like, it's talking to press to me is even less on it's staying on the field, it's respecting the players, it's respecting the fans. It was disappointing to say the least. And I guess
we have one more here. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say the question then on everyone's mind is going to be, just to wrap up the show, where do we go from here? What is next for Inter Miami? World Cup again is now, we're only a month away from it, and some of those big time players on the team, we know that their eyes starting to look a little bit to the right, see what's coming. But you know, what started off as a great interimship, huge mistake by Hoyos in the game, and then even worse to do that as in press conference. It's disrespectful to the media, to the fans, to the community. It's a big problem, and that's a really sour thing to do. Really early in your sort of, you know, your reign. And my question is then, you know, what is this team going to be able to do or say in order to change the result? Because it's not just what we saw on the field again. The morale, the energy, the togetherness, all of that, it seems to be missing. And, you know, personnel injuries, those things, they change, they come in, they go. You still have Messi, you still have De Paul, you still have Suarez, you still have X, Y, and Z. You have all these great players playing. How do you get things back on track, and how do you get the trust and belief inside the team and outside?
It's a lot of stuff they got to figure out. It's a lot. Like, it's not one thing that this team needs to figure out. It's a lot. And that's why it's a bit tough. But look, I think the question is, after Mascherano left, I know it was just a little bit, but I feel like you still saw some improvement on this team, right?
Yeah.
They won two difficult games. Real Salt Lake and Colorado.
I
2
really
away
liked what I
games.
was seeing. Yeah.
Now it wasn't the best game. It wasn't, okay, this team finally unlocked it. It was all right. They're going in the right direction. They come back home. They still don't win, but they tie. So you're talking about 7 points out of a possible 9 in 3 games.
Yeah.
They go into this game, and they're winning 3-0 at home until that epic collapse. But it felt like things were trending the right way. And it begs the question, does this monumental collapse negate every single ounce of positivity that we were seeing? Does it take us back to square one as if nothing happened and we're just right where we were before Mascherano left and we're in the pits? Or is it, hey, this is a stumbling block. You were heading in the right direction. Continue building off of what you had until that
So your
39th
character.
minute.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think this team is going to have to dig deep within them because they have the players I think needed to be able to at least from the midfield up.
Yeah.
We should have no problem scoring and we should have no problem in the midfield. But guys like De Paul aren't living up to the contract. Yannick Bright is taking a step back where he was, on the up and up and increasing. I think those guys have to have a serious conversation. And look, sometimes, and not only in this sport, but in other sports too, sometimes you need a game like this that absolutely crushes you, that brings you back down to earth, that says, hey, just because we have Messi on this team doesn't mean that we're going to automatically whoop every team. Just because we have Messi on this team and we have De Paul and we have Berterame doesn't mean that we're going to beat the 14th seed in the East that hadn't won a game in I don't know how many games in our new stadium. Just because we have all that doesn't mean that we're going to win. We need to actually put from our side and we need to actually play. This is the first time I actually questioned their effort. We've talked about it before.
Yeah.
Even through the bad
I
losses,
agree.
we've never questioned their effort. I actually
agree.
questioned their effort this time. I questioned their effort. I questioned how bad they really wanted it. I questioned the coaching. So I think that this team, what is next? They need to have a deep talk. They need to have a tough talk in the locker room. There may need to be some arguments, some yelling, some emotions.
And some benching, in my
And
opinion.
hopefully this team is better for it. And this is the game that changed it all. And yes, I agree, Ash. The coach needs to have some hard, difficult decisions and maybe bench some people. And I think that's what he did with Allende. He benched Allende. Allende was not playing good.
Yeah.
Does De Paul have to be benched? And do you have to do Yannick Bright and David Ayala for a moment to bring De Paul back to reality and say, hey, mother effer, like, dude, like just because you're from Atletico Madrid doesn't mean you can come and play like shite and still keep your position. Like just because you're Messi's friend doesn't mean you can just keep your position. I think some of these guys need to react. De Paul has a skill set.
Yeah.
He needs to be better. Maxi Falcon, again, going back to what you just said, maybe he needs to be sub. Lujan, that has been playing better, maybe he needs to start. Mura shouldn't be getting any minutes unless Ian Frey is tired or something. I don't know. So yeah, there's some tough conversations and they got to figure it out.
Sinclair, like, yeah, there's got to be some stuff. 100%. I agree, but I think you're right. I think there needs to be this. It's right. It's not about how you fall; it's how you get up again. This will be important. I think again, what Hoyos did and those senior players, it leaves a bad taste in your mouth. It was an overall bad, a bad and unfortunate night. How are you going to change and show the visible change of it's not about winning or losing. It's about, again, having that effort, having that respect, that energy, and playing more like a team. We need to see that. And so I guess, next week will be a game that has a lot of eyes on it and in a lot of different ways, right? There's lots of different levels to this. And so it will be really interesting, I think, how just the week in general unfolds. Already we see for media availability now, Luis Suarez is going to do media availability later in the week. Would that
how
have
much
happened?
of that is coincidence?
I was about to say, would that have happened normally? Probably not.
The amount of noise around that subject, not just from local guys, but now the national media has caught on. You're talking about the Guardian. You're talking about the national football, soccer reporters. I don't know. You're
Yeah.
talking about a lot of big names. Look, if you guys are here from Miami, you guys know Will Mansell. I actually like Will Mansell a lot. He's great. He's a reporter, typically covers the NBA and the NFL more than anything. But he reposted something talking about this topic, and he himself wrote, "That is the reason why I don't cover Inter Miami more." It's he said covering Inter Miami and going to those mix zones is like if I was interviewing Dexter Pittman or Pittman and Norris Cole during the Big Three era.
Right.
I mean, and it's sad. So, yeah.
Yeah. We'll have to wait and see. But it'll be an interesting week and then hopefully a much better performance on the field. We'll just have to wait and see. Thank you as always for watching. We figured this would be one where there was a lot of opinion, a lot of things to cover, and I think we did. We really value, the chat and the everyone's opinions and feelings as a fan, as a football watcher, all that good stuff. And yeah, so just as always, make sure you're following us on X at Messi and Co, where like we were this past week, where like we will be as always covering the latest news of the team, of the matches, of the players, of the stories, all that good stuff. And make sure you're subscribed on YouTube at 5 Reasons Football. Make sure you like the video. It helps a lot with the algorithm. If you can subscribe, turn on the notification bell. We only do these 1 episodes a week, really. We're going to be adding World Cup episodes, but we won't fall down on your feed, and it helps us out a lot. So, yeah, as always, Gian, any last thoughts? I thought it was a really great episode. Obviously, hard topics we went through, but the conversation is always great.
Yeah, I just want to end with I remain positive that this team can get on the right track. I'm not giving up on them. I think that this was a tough, awful loss, but I think this is the moment they learn from it, and I'm confident that this team will find their footing. I think they've got enough talent.
Yeah,
There's some teams have no talent. This team has enough
Sure.
talent to get through it, and they will. So, and thank you guys so much for watching. Maides, Audo, Real Deal, all you guys. Appreciate you guys getting on. The rest of you too.
Thank you guys. Thanks so much. All right, yeah. So for this episode of Messi and Co, I'm Ashley. That is Gian, and we will see you next time.
See you guys.